Welcome back to The Pulse. Remember, we are live on all our social media handles. It's on JoyNews on TV. You can tweet at us with the hashtag The Pulse. My personal handle is @Nana Aisha. Now, perceived use of juju or black magic in the national soccer team is an open secret, though yet to be fully confirmed. Indeed, some attribute the poor performance of the senior national team, the Black Stars, and some players to juju by some players. Now, the closest the nation came in admitting the existence of the practice was in 2012 when former coach of the Stars, Goran Stefanovic, in his report to the Football Association revealed that some players used black powder during the Nations Cup in which Ghana came fourth, and according to him, that affected the team greatly. The country failed to qualify from the group stage in the ongoing tournament, AFCON 2021. Some have blamed it on juju, whilst others feel otherwise. Here are responses from the streets of Accra.
I don't think so. Personally, I don't think that is the cause of, the fall of the Black Stars. I don't think so at all. Because I think that if, no matter how even God is even helping you, you also need to help yourself. Yes, so even if someone is using this juju or whatever it is, or even someone even has God, and you don't practice, you don't really up your game, there is no way you're going to play better. Because God wouldn't come on the pitch, or even that juju wouldn't perform any magic per se on the pitch. You have to, up your game. So I don't think that is solely the reason why Black Stars are really not doing well.
Oh, the black magic there, it can happen, but for now, the coach must be the problem. His changes and tactics are not working at all. So that one there is in football long time. That magic there. They football long time. People they do. Even as Samoa Jan, they talk say he killed this guy Castro for a football career. That one they long time. But for now, we need a better coach, a better technical team, better players, defenders, midfielders, than strikers. It's not all about the black magic, That one they feel happen, but the coaching there is not helping Ghana at all.
I don't believe it is the juju or spiritual aspect. What I believe is the foundation. I believe in the foundation of the Black Stars. Because when you see the previous under 17, under 20 development through that process, it's not being encouraging at all. So I advise the technical team, the GFA, everybody who is involved, to look at that aspect. There's spiritual aspect in it, but it's all about the mindset. If, for instance, someone is doing me juju or that kind of stuff, we all pray. So if I prevent somebody from doing me juju, it shouldn't affect me in my performances. So I just believe the players' mindset, they have to come as a team. Unity is the key in football. So I just believe if there is unity in it, we are going good to go.
Former president of the Ghana Football Association, Dr. Nyao Tamaklo, says he will not blame the poor performance on juju, but rather warning that until the national team do away with age cheating, the situation will only get worse.
Listen to me very carefully. If you have 70% of your football 30 plus age or ages, and you use them, you can be sure you fail. Now, modern football is nothing but passion, not just passion, but you must play the ball in such a way that one sees your energy. Modern football is energy. You must be hungry for success. Now, age cheating is one thing too that it destroys our football. Age cheating, and that is what is showing. Most of the boys you see there are over 30 years, I'm telling you. Age cheating, that's why they can't run. That's why they get tired. I was interviewed by George Adu, and I told him that there's no way he will succeed. Milman will not succeed. He deceived the nation, Ghana. He left unceremoniously for another country, somewhere in Asia. He didn't fare well there. He came back to one of the Arabian countries. They sacked him. And then he was at home doing nothing. I think by the time they got in touch with me, he had sat home for about 5 years. 4 to 5 years. And such a person definitely is rusty.
Let's now broaden the scope of the conversation and bring in Yao Perko, who is head coach of the National Under-15 team. Also joining this discussion is Sadiq Adams. He's a former Black Stars player. I'm grateful for your time this afternoon. Let's start by understanding the issues properly. How common is this use of juju or black magic by players in the Black Stars camp? Sadiq, what's your experience? Share with us. Sadiq, kindly unmute for me.
That unfortunately, I'm not a former Black Stars player, so I'm a bit lost. I'm a sports journalist.
Okay, sports journalist. Thanks for the correction.
Yeah, so.
All right.
I think,
Go ahead, Sadiq.
The experience has been there. It's been widely reported, started so many years. But the reference of it as a black magic is one that really upsets people, because people have their religious beliefs. I do not think that alone can particularly lead to the team's poor performance in tournaments. Even though it creates some sort of mistrust among players. People do not want to share rooms with some particular players, and these are things that we've heard. A coach of the national team has, for once, like you read, stated this in an official technical report of a tournament, that players are trying to destroy themselves with this magic or spirituality. But the issue has been there for a long time. I think that we need to deal with it. Some players even attribute their injuries to colleagues in camp and reason why they don't want to come to play for the national team. But the mentality behind, even in the Western world, they have their practices, they have their superstitious beliefs. That is not black or white magic. What we need to do is the thinking and mentality and the enmity it creates amongst our players. There's so much mistrust because of this juju syndrome in camp, but I don't think it's the cause of our woes.
And let me say, the AFCON 2021, which Ghana just exited, there's been complaints from the Black Star camp that there were colleagues who were chanting at night and what have you before the game the next day. I mean, how does all of this come across to you?
Well, I've heard reports. I've spoken to a lot of these players since I started covering the African Cup of Nations from, say, 2008. At the end of every tournament, this discussion comes up. But I'm a Muslim. If at night I'm praying in my room and reciting, and you think it's chanting, somebody may be a Christian. They may have their particular way of praying. That's not chanting. I don't know what the other players mean by chanting. But I agree, there is a deep-seated notion among the players, amongst even the technical team, that there are players in the team who are too spiritually powerful and can cause injuries to others. This is even within our, normal life and sphere of life. People think that others chant, others are able to conjure some sort of magic. But using science and data, these are not things that I would want to believe. But I have personally received reports and complaints from players within the national team that this thing goes on. This is what goes on. People are able to bring their spiritual fathers to come to pray. And I said, well, I have my own religious inclination, and somebody may have theirs. It doesn't mean that they are negatively trying to affect my career or trying to destroy me. But it exists. And players now in the national team, I can confirm that some of the players have mistrust among themselves because of thinking and the mentality that others are working against them.
Let's bring in Yao Perko, who is actually a former player. How much information do you have on this? In fact, what is your own experience?
From me?
Yes.
Yeah, good evening. Information about the camp or about the juju stuff that is going on?
Exactly. This allegation of people using
you know,
juju.
when you go to a tournament and it doesn't work out, these are rumors that, you know, people like to bring out for us to, you know, justify our the team not doing well in the tournament. You know, I believe we went for a tournament which we didn't prepare very well. And like some of the players, majority of the players said, weren't good enough. We feel all we need to do is we go back to the drawing board and then we fix our problems. Because if we have to be going back and be talking about all these incidents, we'll be stuck at one place, and by the time we realize we're playing against Nigeria we're not ready.
Now, during your time, were there similar complaints?
Nah, we were too mature to be thinking like that. We were too mature. When you have the likes of, we have other problems to be thinking of, we're all professionals. We're all professionals, matured. We have the legs of the Tonys, the Peles, and the CKs, and Tony Baffos, the Ampias, and we were too mature to be thinking like that. You're in your room, you go and sleep, and you wait for the next day to go to training and think about the game that is coming up.
Now, let's look at the poor performance. Some attribute it to the juju, others attribute it to the age cheating. What do you think is accounting for our poor performance? I'll start with you, Alperko.
I think, like I said earlier, we didn't prepare. We didn't prepare very well. We had so much hiccups. Before the tournament and during the tournament. I think before, when the players were invited, we had too many parties. Some players came 5 days before the tournament. It was bad. I knew the coach is going to struggle to come up with a good team because first of all, he didn't know the team. He didn't know the players when he came. And I thought he's going to use the Cup of Nations to get to know the players because when he came, the time was too short for him to get to know the boys. And before the tournament, I thought probably he might have 2 weeks or something like that to prepare. But some of the boys started coming late due to the COVID and so many excuses. So you have no choice than to do your best. And I think their best wasn't enough. We didn't really prepare very well. And like Jordan came up to say, they said they weren't good enough. But they weren't good enough. Anyway, I agree 100% with him.
Would you blame the coach for what happened?
Hey, this job, if it doesn't go well, is the coach that will be blamed. As a coach, if it doesn't go well, if you win, you are the man. If you lose, fingers will be pointing at you. So this is part of the coaching job.
Sadiq Adams, for you, what could be accounting for our poor performance? I mean, the performance keeps dwindling over the years.
Well, I think we have problems, too many problems to be thinking about the coach alone. I've mentioned on several other platforms that the coach is only perhaps 1% of the problems that Ghana football is in at the moment. There are so many things going wrong, especially with our juvenile system.
Let's try and get Sadiq back. He's making a very valid point. There's concern about political influence. And even before we talk about the political influence, the bit that Nyao Tamaklo raised, the age cheating, do you think it has a way of affecting our performance when people are 30 years and they say they are 21? Does it in a way affect our performance?
This age cheating thing, I don't want to talk about it. I once made a comment about it and I nearly paid for it. So age cheating in whatever they call it, let me pass, please.
Right. Then let's look at the political interference.
Political interference. Explain.
So the concern is that the coach doesn't have a free hand whenever he's choosing his players. All the time, there are people at the back wanting him to take my boy, take my boys, take this. At the end of the day, he will put together a lineup which doesn't necessarily, fit, which is not fit for the game, but because he's doing the bit of other people.
But this coach, when okay, he's not done any interview yet. But I read somewhere the FA president said they've not interfered in the coach's selection, and I believe if the coach thinks some people are interfering in his selection, he should come out and let us know, because he's the coach, and like I said earlier, if we win, hallelujah, he is the man, he's our man. If we lose, fingers will be pointing at him, and so far we've not heard anything from him. We yet to read his report, and because there were so many factors. There's so many factors, and I think we need to take a good look at ourselves before we start pointing fingers, because it's a collective team. It's a collective team, and if it didn't go well, we shouldn't be pointing just at one place and thinking, okay, this is where we think we need to tackle, or no, we should look at so many places, because for me personally, I think that so many factors contributed to why we didn't perform very well in the tournament. And
what are the factors? What are the factors that you talk about?
I believe the coach didn't really, I think his timing, the time he came was a bit short. And like I said earlier, he wanted that 3 weeks, that 2 weeks. Normally we always have 2 weeks to prepare the team before a major tournament. You always have 2 weeks, and you get to know the players. But he didn't get that time. And you coach, you cannot. You're not a magician. You're not a magician. You think you can just pick a team and bang, you just go and succeed. He needs time. And unfortunate for him, he didn't get that time to get to know the boys very well. He played 1 or 2 qualify with the boys, but there's a major tournament, and I believe time wasn't on his side. Time failed him, and it went against him. So without time, it will be difficult for you to implement what you think you want your boys to do.
Definitely, their performance the last time was very, very abysmal, and everyone is unhappy with the Black Stars team. Going forward, what do you expect from the team?
Yeah. One, the boys themselves, they've accepted that their performance wasn't good enough, and I'm happy about that. They all came out saying their performance, they know they can do better. That shows. In the next, they qualify against Nigeria. Whoever is selected will do better than he did in the tournament. And with that, I believe we have to, like I said, we have to go back to the drawing board and do basics, and thinking. We are better far ahead. No, nowadays we are struggling. We are Ghana, but we are struggling. We need to do basics. We need to start all over again. And I believe to win the hearts of Ghanaians, this in the Nigerian game is to be the game for us to start afresh with. And it's possible to eliminate Nigeria from the World Cup.
Now, earlier you made a critical point about the fact that the players must stop thinking backwards and actually thinking that somebody is doing juju or black magic, and that they must be forward thinking. That could help the team. How do we get these players to actually think the way you want?
It's a lot. You have to have a meeting with them. You have to have a meeting. You have to organize them. It's all about meetings, and then everybody will pour his heart, you know, or individually you call them, and they will express whatever that they feel that is disturbing them, because.
All right, so we lost your.
You not come out and say it, and then when the result doesn't go your way, you come out and talk about certain things. It will not help. I believe you will not play for the national team forever. You are also passing through. Others will come and others will go. So when this is your time, you make the best out of it. And how do you make the best out of it? When there's something that you feel like you want to pour your heart out, just go to the officials, go to the management, let them know this is my feeling, than going to the press. You get me? Let us fix it, because you have the management that taking care of all this problem, because it's different playing for a local your club side and different playing for the national team. The national team is a big deal. Playing for the national team is a big deal. People think you can just go in there and then when you are performing for your club side, you just go to the national team and it will be the same. Trust me, the spirit of the national team is very, very high, and you need to be ready before you come in. Don't go in there and think, I'm good with my my club side, and you go to the national team. You mess up. We've seen big players, especially in the English league. You've seen big players years back. When they are invited in the national, they go there and they don't perform very well. It's like that. So you have to be very, very ready. And I think we need to, like I said earlier, we need to look at ourselves, especially the players. Like they said, they need to look at us and realize that their performance wasn't good enough and that they can do better. Because at the end of the day, they are the guys to do the job for us. The coaches cannot be on the pitch. It's up to them. When they said they can do it, and they said they can do it, I believe they can do it. It's up to them.
I'm grateful for your time this afternoon. Yao Preku, he's a former Black Stars player, and he is the manager of the under-20 team as well. And we've been talking about how the Black Stars can improve on its performance.